What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another installment here of Honest and Uneducated. I am Rob Bifo, and today is a sort of a special episode here because we have Mr. John Knight actually in here in studio with us, along with Rick and I. So since John's here in studio, let's cut it to John first real quick. How you doing today, John?
I'm doing good, man. It's interesting to see where the sausage gets made.
Yeah,
This is
For sure.
quite a production behind the scenes. So it's cool to get a chance to be in studio with you guys and see how the magic is made.
oh, of course, and it wouldn't be a typical episode of H&U if we don't either talk about the Snyder Cut or have technical difficulties, in which it took us quite like an extra hour's worth of time of troubleshooting some mic stuff because I unfortunately did not have an extra mic. But either way, we got it all working as we are here now. So hopefully, off the top, just in case you hear some background chatter, we tried really hard to make that not happen. So you shouldn't hear it. You should not hear it. So hopefully we don't. And of course, we do have Rick Metz here with us as well. How you doing today, Rick?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing good, man. We're doing great. Yeah, but I don't know. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot going on.
For sure.
Like I said, we started an hour late. We're going to try to get this thing going. We're going to cover everything we're going to cover. But we're going to try to speed through it a little bit, I think, if that sounds good for everybody. How's that sound?
Yep.
Yeah. We got some stuff, though. Don't forget, though, too, guys, off the top. One, you can submit topics and questions to the show simply by emailing us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. That's honestanduneducated@gmail.com. But with that down, guys, if you actually two announcements actually up top. If you caught our stream this past on Friday here, I did a little tease of two hot toys I'll have reviews coming out of soon. So the Solo Darth Maul and then the Commander Cody. Got both of those in, so I'm going to look out for one of them. Haven't decided which one I'm going to put up yet, but Wednesday I'll have the review for one of those up on the channel. So, but with that down, let's get into our first topic here. And our first topic today is a good one. It's a good one. In my opinion, it's a good one. We got our first look at how Jared Leto's Joker is going to actually look in the Snyder Cut, and I gotta say, I like the look myself. I am liking the look. I like it a hell of a lot more than the Suicide Squad look. And despite like a lot of people I know did not care for Jared Leto's Joker, I actually liked it in like concept. If that makes sense. I didn't really like what they did with him. I don't really feel like they utilized him like in any sort of good way by any means. And David Ayers even came out and said that if he could have gone and redid everything on Suicide Squad, he would have made Joker the main villain and more focused on that, which I think that would have been a better idea as well. But we got our first look here, and these were released by Zack Snyder. And what do you guys think? Because I'm liking it. I'm liking the no tattoo look. I'm digging a lot. I like the overall like outfit that he's wearing. It almost looks like he's like a butcher or something, some Dexter vibes coming out of here. It was also stated that this is going to essentially be like him, and I'm assuming Deathstroke too, just based on Zack Snyder's comments here, but this is all going to be in a new Knightmare scene, like from the BVS scene with Batman and the trench coat and everything. This is going to be where you see this version of the Joker. So interesting, though, that he doesn't have the tattoos, because theoretically speaking, it's an alternate timeline of the existing timeline. So theoretically speaking, he would have still had all the tattoos, unless he went and got them all removed in some way. So I'm assuming here, without the tattoos, I think practically speaking, they probably just didn't want to go through the effort of putting it all on him just to do like a day's worth of shooting. I think it would have been a lot of work just to get it all on there in the makeup department. I think that's a more practical reason, but then the more, I don't know, lore-driven reason would be they're just retconning the look and like this is the new look.
Yeah.
So, which I generally like this look a lot better. So, but again, what do you guys think of the look overall?
What do you think, John?
I was going to defer to you. No, I'm happy with the look. I think he looks creepy and menacing the way the Joker should look. I think that the outfit definitely adds qualities of the Joker look that we've seen. One of the things that this Joker does have the perma white bleach in, so I mean, I got thinking about it, and tattoo removal would probably be as easy as Joker just taking another acid bath and you know, re-bleaching his skin for this iteration of the Joker. I also, you know, Grant Morrison one time described the Joker as like an ever-evolving personality. The Joker is not just one guy that has one personality. His personality evolves over time, and he actually becomes kind of different iterations of this character over time, and that he used that to account for why the Joker is a whimsical kind of just comedian that doesn't seem real threatening in some comics. In other comics, he seems to be like the devil incarnate. So he used that to kind of justify that Joker. His personality is actually fluid and developing over time. And so I like the idea that this Joker could be someone who's, you know, the tattoo removal could be part of the process of him reinventing himself and making himself into a different maniacal character over time in the Snyder universe. So while it is still the same Joker that was in Suicide Squad, he's now, you know, evolved or reformed himself into a different version that we will see in this movie. So
Yeah, that's a very big romantic way of looking at it too, if that's how it really is.
Romantic
So, yeah.
indeed.
Yeah, for sure. You like the look though, Rick? Too?
Oh, I do. Yeah. I mean, I was never a fan of the tattoos to begin with or anything, and
Yeah.
it definitely has more of a Joker vibe to it. I mean, he still looked like a version of the Joker before, but you know, with this, I don't know. It's not going to be black and white in the movie, I wouldn't imagine, but it's, you know, it looks like he's got the red lips, the black eyes, the white skin. And the long hair is an interesting touch too, considering that he had like the short, greased back hair and like Suicide Squad and everything. So I think it'll be cool. I'm excited to see it, and I really didn't care for the original Justice League or anything.
No, I'm with you. I think with the hair is the same way as the real reason probably for the tattoos not being there is just that Jared Leto's hair is really that long right now.
Yeah.
So he's probably like, we won't make you cut your hair for a day's worth of shooting. Like, you know what I mean? And the long hair Jokers have worked. I mean, we have Heath's long hair Joker, and we have Joaquin's long hair Joker. His Joker arguably was the only one that didn't really work. Jack's Joker didn't really have long hair either, but it was fine too.
I think it fits. He looks maniacal, and he looks like beaten and just like, you know,
he looked like he ain't
some
messing around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He does. He looks evil.
But I also had a theory too of like, what if during this Knightmare scene though, because you got to think the Knightmare scenes take place in a alternate or future where the Earth was invaded by Apocalypse and they have essentially lost, and like Superman's evil now working with them and blah 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 blah. So like, what if in this scene it's not like Joker versus Batman, it's like Joker and Batman actually work together? Because like that would also explain like why he has the Joker card on his gun.
That's what I was gonna say.
And like all these things. Like, what if the Joker is like their freaking armor or something, or he's their medical doctor? Or that was Joker's gun, and he just grabbed it anyway because they're on the same. They're on the same side.
Yeah.
Do what?
It would make sense. I mean, once you've kind of been beaten by like all of that, and the world's basically over, and it's apocalyptic and everything, it just would make sense. Like at this point, like, hey, let's work together.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Joker can't terrorize Batman if Batman's dead.
Yeah.
So it's like he's got to help him if he wants to be able to continue terrorizing him. The classic, like no one's gonna kill you but me kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if Darkseid's a threat to you, and like all of mankind in all reality,
then I'm on your side.
Then he's on your. He's got to help. Like it's like plus too. The Joker's like this like agent of chaos, and it's like when Apocalypse invades, he looks like a nothing. Like literally, like it's.
Oh yeah, he's just a guy in makeup. At
exactly.
That point.
So it's like you want to see things go back to normal. They got to deal with Darkseid and the parademons. So I can see that being a thing.
Yeah.
Well, you guys any extra thoughts on it? Because the only other thing that really happened with it is Zack had this quote where he said the cool thing about the scene is that it's Joker talking directly to Batman about Batman, and it's Joker analyzing Batman about who he is and what he is. And that's the thing I also felt like fans deserve from the DC universe. That is to say, the Jared Leto Joker and Ben Affleck Batman, they never really got together.
No.
It seemed uncool to me that we would make it all the way through this incarnation of Batman and Joker without seeing them actually come together, which makes sense.
I mean, he's a Batman villain, like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you have the one scene in Suicide Squad where Batman chases the car with Joker and Harley in. And that's it. That's their own interaction throughout all the Snyderverse or DCEU movies, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it'll be fun to see those two share the screen. I'm hoping that them sharing the screen together. Period. Although it might even be a little bittersweet because I don't think we'll ever get a full Batman Joker story out of it. I think it'll just be a little snippet, like you said, set in the Knightmare universe. So
Yeah, that's gonna be the only downside is knowing that, you know, if this Joker's like really cool and then Deathstroke's like really cool, it's just like, but we're more than likely not gonna ever see him again. So kind of like it's cool that we'll get something cool with them, but it's also like it's like watching WandaVision and never getting to see the finale. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
all that being said, though, I mean, to be fair, you had asked me 3 years ago, would we ever see Snyder's version of Justice League? I would have laughed in your face and been like, "Are you dumb? Of course not. DC is totally done with that. Moved on. That'll never be a thing." Here we are 3 years later. So I mean, everything's never say anything's impossible.
that's true. I mean, money talks. Like we always say, money talks. If this thing somehow brings in 50 million subscribers and is able to somehow keep them and with continued growth after the fact, they'll probably go to Snyder and be like, "You want to make another one of these things? Like, Ben, you want to make that Batman movie? Like, you want to do it?" Like,
It might not even be 50 million. I mean, I think we brought this up before, but money talks, and streaming money these days talks even louder than regular money. So, if this movie had been released in theaters and made, $50 million, you release it on streaming, it makes $50 million, and that probably counts as like $150. That's how important streaming is to these companies right now.
no, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see because if there's anything I could get from the echoes of the Snyderverse, it would be that Ben Affleck Batman solo movie. So if we could somehow get that out of it or a little mini series out of it, then I'll be good. I'll be good. I'll be great. So well, the question is, guys, what do you think about this new look for the Joker appearing in Zack Snyder's Justice League here? And do you think it also is going to be a little bittersweet? Because if we get this like ultimate Jared Leto Joker and we love it in this thing, is it going to be kind of bittersweet if we never get to see like an actual full-length movie with him and Batman and it's kind of bittersweet in some way, but at least we got it and we would have never gotten it before. So it's also a good way to look at it. So whatever you think, let us know down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So our next topic here is a bit of a doozy and a bit of a disturbance in the force, if you will. I had to do it.
That was good. That was good.
I had to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
It was good. It was a slight disturbance in the force here because I'm sure everyone's heard by now, but we got to address it because it's the big Star Wars news, unfortunately, is back to being something that you could call negative, but at least this time it's not necessarily as a result of something from Star Wars, just one of their, employees, someone living in the world and playing in the world of Star Wars. And that is, of course, the Cara Dune, Gina Carano situation here, where Lucasfilm and Disney, however way you want to look at it, they have decided to part ways with her. Should note, too, that it wasn't just Disney that parted ways with her. Her agency also parted ways with her, too, after all of this. So she was dropped by her agents and dropped from the Mandalorian television show where Cara Dune was a pretty predominant character. I mean, they were actually going to look, and I think this all started, this is like kind of speculation, but kind of confirmed in other ways that, because we know that we have the Rangers of the New Republic, or is it just Rangers of the Republic?
I think it's of the New Republic.
Yeah, well, whichever one it was. I believe she was rumored, Cara Dune, to be a main character in that, if not the lead of that, but
not anymore.
Theoretically speaking, though, there was supposed to have been back, because this didn't just come out of the blue, despite what a lot of people think. Like, Disney had actually met with her multiple times, because ever since, like, November, she had been saying things, like, vocally on her social media, which she definitely has the right to do. She can say whatever she wants. But, again, we were kind of saying off camera, but, like, if it's your right to say whatever you want, then it's, your company's right to do whatever they want with your paycheck at that point. And that means if they want to drop you, they can drop you.
I got a good
Nothing
one.
on them.
I guess you could say she's Cara Dune now. Cara Dune.
Cara Dune. That's true.
That didn't come out as good as I thought it would.
Yeah, that's what she said. No. But no, so yeah, it's just like if a good example too. It's just like if you're an asshole to everybody around you, then like that's your choice. You can say whatever you want and do whatever you want, but then it's everyone else's choice whether or not they want to still be around you and be your friend.
Associate with you.
Yeah, it's the same concept. It's like because I know it's been documented that Disney had reached out to her multiple times and just asked her to like stop saying such controversial things publicly like that. Quit like just because whatever you say reflects on us. So it's like you say whatever you want. You can take all the hate that you want to take. That's all on you. But then it starts to trickle down to them. And like then they have no part of it. They don't really care what you say. Like in essence, not like they support it or don't support it or whatever. Like what she was saying isn't technically speaking like what they had a problem with. It was just the fact that she was like saying it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense how I'm trying to say that?
Yeah.
Like it's just the fact that it was such controversial things. It reflects poorly on them, not whether or not they agree or disagree with what she's saying, because that's not what anybody has came out and explicitly said. Now, granted, the latest thing she said, I don't think anybody really agrees with on any level, and that's kind of why the breaks were cut. You know.
Well, the thing that gets me though is there is people out there that don't mind it because the backlash has been insane.
Oh, I know,
I'm on Star Wars groups on Facebook, and I mean, people are literally like, "I'm done with Star Wars. I'm done with the Mandalorian," and it's like, are you though?
Well, what blows my mind with that is like,
she wasn't even that big of a.
Yeah, who cares? Cara Dune. Like, if you're looking at it from a Star Wars standpoint, who cares? Like, it's just some random shock trooper that could be cut and pasted with anybody.
Yeah.
Like, anybody.
Didn't bother me a bit, personally.
And unfortunately, too, like, I love Pedro Pascal, but, like, he could be cut and pasted with anybody, too. He's wearing a helmet 99.9% of the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now, granted, if you watch the behind-the-scenes stuff for Season 2, he was actually on set for, like, it looked like every episode.
Yeah.
Like, so he did a lot of the work actually in Season 2. It was reported that in Season 1 he was barely there. Like Bryce Dallas Howard, with her whole episode, like she said after the fact that she never even got to meet Pedro, so he wasn't even there for the whole episode that she directed in Season 1. But the behind the scenes thing showed that he was pretty much there all the time.
Yeah.
More of an interesting side note, but yeah, I don't understand the huge backlash from a Star Wars standpoint. Like that confuses me just because, like, are we watching the same show? Because it's called The Mandalorian, not Cara Dune, The Adventures of Cara Dune. But about that, she was supposed to, it was rumored that prior to that Disney press conference where they announced Rangers of the New Republic, they wanted to give Cara Dune her actual own show. And I think what I've heard and what makes the most sense is that since they couldn't trust her, because at this point in time, they already had, I think, 2 or 3 meetings with her about how expressive she had been being, and like asked her to stop, like just saying it publicly. Just turn it down. You can believe whatever you want to believe. Everybody loves working with you, but just stop saying the stuff. Stop saying it out there because it just looks bad.
You're jeopardizing your job.
Yeah, it looks bad on the company. You know, like it doesn't matter. It's like it doesn't matter if we agree or disagree. It's like there's half the world out there. It's frowned upon. Like it looks bad on us. Like, you know, we can't be in a position where we defend you and then we're defending what you're saying or we're supporting what you're saying. You know, they want to be Switzerland. Like the company needs to be Switzerland. Every company like that needs to be like that. And but yeah, she was supposed to have her own show, and I think that the reason it became Rangers of the New Republic was because they needed to be able to just have an ensemble and have other people like be in and out in case this day inevitably came.
It's like they almost had it in mind, like, hey, this could happen down the road. But
yeah, because everything I've heard, she was supposed to explicitly have her own show, and that evolved into something that was a little bit less Cara Dune specific. Yeah, because Rangers of the New Republic can be anything.
Oh yeah,
you know, not the Adventures of Cara Dune and got his name again. The Arnie handshake.
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers. The Adventures of that's the first thing I always think of when I think of Carl. I don't think of Creed. I don't think of Apollo Creed. I think of the handshake in Predator.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you not?
Was that from Predator?
Yeah, it was in Predator. It was in the beginning of the first Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good movie. Good movie. What do you think, John? What do you think about this? Do you like? Because I know, like, politics aside, but
sure. So here's I hope I can say this succinctly. I feel bad for fandom. There's a part of me that feels bad for Gina Carano, not because of what she said and what happened to her, but just because she was not able to be self-aware enough to realize that, she was kind of hurting herself by doing this. Um, uh, there used to be an old adage that you don't talk about politics and it was kind of this idea that, there's such divisive topics that rarely does anything good come about discussing them with other people. People can have your political opinions, you can have your political beliefs, and you go to the voting box and you vote the way that best aligns with those beliefs. And you can have your religious beliefs, and on Sunday or whatever day of the week you practice your faith, you go and you practice your faith. But when you're in everyday society with other people, you kind of keep those opinions to yourself, unless there are people you kind of share it with, because there isn't a lot good that comes from taking these things that are faith based in a lot of ways, and blowing them up and making them the end all be all. But somewhere along the way, my feeling is that the American society has lost that, and anymore, everybody feels that not only do they need to express those beliefs, but that their beliefs or their feelings on certain subjects are absolute and the end all be all. That a counter opinion doesn't have any validity to it. And so we've created this very combative, contentious society now, where companies in Disney's position are forced almost into a nightmare public relations corner. If Gina Carano is saying things that a large number of people feel are inappropriate and wrong, then Disney has to at some point, Disney has to do a simple cost-benefit analysis. If we continue to employ Gina Carano, we will lose X number of viewers, fans, whatever, because they don't like what she is saying and what she represents. If we don't get rid of her and we keep her, or no, if we do get rid of her and we lose her, then we lose this segment that is also just as vocal, but believes in what she's saying and has that. So from Disney, I understand that people are mad at Disney, but in the age that we live in, Disney is their business and they're there to make money, and so they have to run those numbers. What do we think is the bigger hit to our image, our bottom line? Is it keeping her or is it getting rid of her? In this case, it seems like they thought that getting rid of her gave them the best opportunity to continue profits and continue making the show that they feel they need to make. For all the talk about doing the right thing and society, that's not the right thing. For all the talk of them doing the right thing, I guess, and I really believe behind the scenes at the end of the day, it's a bottom line thing. Like, are we hurting our business by keeping her employed? And that's what it was. Like you mentioned, she has gotten multiple opportunities. They've talked to her multiple times about the things that she was posting on social media, and I wish there's a part of me that wishes that she had been able to heed those warnings and say, maybe there's a different way to present my message. Maybe there's a different way I can go about supporting the things that I believe in, besides such a combative nature with the company that I work for. So I feel like I kind of rambled there. I hope my point came across. I think it's ironic that part of me, I guess, is saying, like, I wish people would just keep their opinions to themselves, and at the same time on a show where we are doing nothing but offering our opinions on entertainment things that are going on. But I guess with religion and politics in particular, there's such divisive topics that I don't see a lot of good that comes from, no matter which side you're coming from. There rarely does it seem like there's anything good that comes from blowing these topics up and sticking to them, like drawing a line in the sand.
No, I'm with you because that's the thing, and that's totally is something like it's so weird. Like the whole that line between like keeping like religion and politics like out of the workplace is supposed to be like the whole separation of church and state. It's
Exactly.
like that line seems to just be so blurred anymore. It's like you have like, and I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. I'm just saying like if you just go and look at the like watch any senator you want, and it's like like any I don't know 2 out of 4. So we'll just say half. That was a stupid thing to say. 2 out of 4, 1 out of 3, maybe even more than that. One of them's going to bring up their faith about something, or like why they made a decision or something. It's like you're supposed to explicitly not be doing that, and it's like no one even cares anymore.
Well, it's like in school getting a warning, the principal calls you into his office and he's like, hey, you're going to get expelled or suspended if you don't quit doing this. And that's exactly what happened to her. She just kept doing it and she suffers the consequences. So,
Yeah.
I mean, contracts are in writing and, if you're not going to abide by the contract, they've got every right to do that.
Yeah.
Especially when it's something somewhat people would say hateful or,
it was bad. The last
bad
tweet
taste.
she said was explicitly in bad taste.
It was.
Like,
It was.
it's like you can like, because I bet if she would have phrased that differently, who cares? She's been vocal the whole time. You know what I mean? And like for the most part, she's kept her job the entire time too. Like
Yeah.
she was asked to tone it down and not be as like expletive about things. And she still continued to use social media after she had those talks and everything was fine. It was just until the line was crossed that I just couldn't really put up with it. Like John said, it's like the bottom line kind of thing. It's like, what's the risk, cost risk analysis kind of situation here? It's like, how many people do we keep if we get rid of her? How many do we lose if we get rid of her? What's the difference? And it's like, and like I said, from my standpoint, someone who's completely like, I don't care about like any of it from like a political or economical standpoint because I'm not in the game with that. Like I'm someone who likes Star Wars, so I'm completely looking at it from a Mandalorian watching the Star Wars show like kind of aspect, and like I don't care. Like her character is not important to the show. You can argue it all you want, but it's like genuinely her character is not important to the show. Like the show can easily move on without her. Like she wasn't a part of a crucial narrative that like some other character couldn't just replace her. Like I liked her character. I thought it was the best performance as far as acting goes that she's given in her really whole career on The Mandalorian. But it's not something that's gonna like ruin the Mandalorian show with her not being a part of it. I'm more like John, where it's like I kind of just feel bad for her in the sense that like this was like who would not want that gig? And it's like you couldn't just have like the foresight or just I don't know control over like yourself to just not do one thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest shows out right now. And it's just like you just threw all that away because you'd rather voice your opinion, and
well, and just like distasteful ways, because that's the problem. Like, it's like she has she's expressed her opinions on things, and like no one cares. It's when she says things like that, the things that require Disney to come in and say, you can't really say that. Like, we can't have you saying that because it reflects badly on us. You know what I mean? Like, you can have your opinion, just rephrase it. You can't say something as, in poor taste as like the last one was. Like, that's the problem.
If you feel strong enough that you need to add your your opinion out there on topics, she was, ironically enough, I think she was trying to, at least from what I've read, I think she was trying to comment on the ability of people to speak their mind and say what they think in today's age. Which is ironic that she then lost her job. But if she felt the need to be part of that public discussion on that topic, why not take the time and send the Instagram post or story or the tweet or whatever your platform of choice is? Send that to Disney PR and say, hey, look, even if you don't have your own PR, send it to Disney PR and say, hey, look, this is really important to me. I want to add my voice to this conversation. This is what I want to put out. I guarantee somebody from Disney would have looked at that and said, no. Can you try that a different way? And if she had, maybe that would have given her the opportunity. but yet again, it goes back to my whole thing of like people think that people are more concerned with having their opinion out there and being validated by those that agree with them than they are with, you know, in her case, than she was with her job, it seems like.
No, for sure. And like in the end, Gina Carano is like gonna be fine, and she's already bounced back. She has a new gig with Ben Shapiro's The Daily Wire, as I pulled up here before. It's kind of, you know, it's not The Mandalorian, but what else really is other than like WandaVision at this point? But I mean, she'll be back on her feet. I mean, it's not like it's like she's on the streets now or anything. Like she'll be fine. And I get why people are upset about it. I just don't get why, like, if you can't understand where like Disney's coming from, and then like anybody who was offended by what she said, then like that's your own problem in all reality. Like you got to be able to see it from both sides, whether you support it or not. I'm not surprised by it mainly. You know, like when you see what was happening and you look at the events that led up to it, it's like, well, yeah, why would you not? Like, you know, it's like you said, Rick, it's like how many times do you have to get detention before you get suspended? You know, it's like you had your warnings, you had your second warning, your third warning, you know, 3 strikes you're out kind of thing. This is what it is. But she'll be fine. Like if you support her, then like continue supporting her. I mean, that's really realistically speaking, if you are upset about it, yelling at Disney or whoever you want to yell at is not going to help Gina Carano in any way, shape, or form. You just support her and what she's doing now, if that's how you feel. You know what I mean? Like,
the other part of this too is, I mean, we live in this constant news cycle nowadays where a topic blows up and it becomes the biggest thing in the world, and that's all everyone talks about. I mean, give it 24 hours or 48 hours, something else will come up. Somebody else will do something, you know, they shouldn't, or that they get reprimanded for or something, and you know, this might by this time next week, this might be news. I don't know, and she's going to end up, you know, being the one still dealing on a daily basis. Not the people that are bashing her, and not the people that are supporting her so vocally and publicly. Right, those people will move on to something else as quick as something else comes up. Yeah. And that's where I say, like, that's where I feel bad for Gina Carano person, because this thing that she felt so strongly about has been is ultimately in the grand scheme of things a blip on the radar to most of the people. She is being used to make political points or societal belief points on both sides for as long as the news cycle will have her, until it decides to roll over to something else. Meanwhile, you know, as Star Wars fans, like you said, I think you like the character of Cara Dune. You know, I actually really like Cara Dune. I thought her portrayal was great. Yeah. You have one of the greatest memes ever in Grogu in his coffee cup, watching Cara and Mando go at it when they first meet. And you know, I mean, there's things about, you know, her portrayal and that character in particular that really added some charm and some I don't know, some heart I felt to the story. But ultimately, she was a secondary character to the main story. So losing her does not, it's not like the series is over now. Completely retool. You know, they find a way to write her out, or I mean, they may even recast. I don't know. But just the whole thing and the way
I don't think they can recast this with how much backlash there has been. Yeah, I mean, in normal circumstances, I think that probably would have been fine. But again, too, it's like, is it a character that needs to go on? Like, Marvel's not even recasting T'Challa, which that's crazy to me.
Yeah,
but like
the show will go on. Like,
yeah, 100%. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't want it to sound like I'm like coming at it from like a who cares, because like I see the implications, and I think the greater thing that people should be worried about is the whole like cancel culture side of it, where it's like you can't even say what you want and then you lose your job and all that. Like I get that part of it, where it's like, you know, now people are just getting fired. Like, look at James Gunn. He said some stuff like 10 years ago and freaking
pretty messed up stuff too.
And like, but I mean, it was 10 years ago. It wasn't something he was actively tweeting today. But they still fired him. And then like the guy who played Elongated Man on The Flash, same concept, like got fired over just saying stuff online. But at the same time, these are stupid things that people are saying. And it's like, just like I said, like you have the right of free speech, but then like these companies have the right to not employ you if what you're saying can damage the company. Like it just it is what it is. But like I get it, but at the same time, look at what they're actually saying, and it's like I don't know, like if you can't understand why it would be offensive to people or why a company wouldn't want you representing them by saying those things, because again it just looks badly on them, then I don't know. Like I said, that's on you. Like I can't really explain it. Like I understand why it looks bad. Like it's not really good things to say. So, but she is going to be on this starring in an upcoming movie that's going to be exclusive to Daily Wire members. And I don't really think it says anything about what it is, but again, if you want to continue to actually support her, then I guess go be a Daily Wire member and then watch the movie. Like when it comes out.
Yeah.
So I mean,
really
I mean, that's the upcoming thing that she's going to be doing. I'm sure she'll have more stuff coming up too. So if you're upset about it, actually support her instead of trashing other people, because that's not really going to help anybody. That actually inevitably ends up hurting them more, because like, again, like the company won't want to have to jump into bed with that, because then they have to like constantly be worried about, well, if we like what happens if we have to part ways with her like Disney did? Then we'll get all this backlash, you know, because all these people just attack them, and like it's just worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always better when people are more civil with each other. You know what I mean? So, but the question is, guys, what do you think about this? Are you upset that Cara Dune, the character itself, is gone? I mean, even if the statements that she said didn't affect you directly, like, do you think it was a mistake for them to fire her for them? Or like, do you feel this kind of the same way I do, where it's like, I can see why that would be offensive to many people, and why, you know, a company wouldn't want that kind of stuff out there, because, you know, it looks bad on them. Like, I get that. I understand where that's coming from. It's unfortunate that it happened. And like John kind of said, I just kind of feel bad that like she couldn't have found a way just to express her like opinions and what she supports in a way that was less, I don't know, in poor taste or whatever, however you want to describe it. You know, find a way to actually say what you want without being offensive. You know what I mean? That's, I really think, the biggest crime here is. And like just in general, like, because it's not just her. It's like, I think everyone wants to have their point like come out, you know, across in the most tasteful way, so that people actually take it seriously and don't take offense to it. Because if it just comes out as offensive or wrong, then you don't actually get heard. You know, you just get yelled at afterward. So, but let me know, or let us know in general, what you think down in the comment section below. All right, guys, so our next topic here may be a little disappointing to anybody who is a fan of Keanu Reeves and heard the rumor that came out this past week about him being looked at by Sony/Marvel to be playing Kraven, because it's come out that he actually, like, this was never confirmed by anybody. I guess I'll just say that right off the top. It was never actually confirmed by, like, Sony or Keanu at the time. This was a rumor that he had met with them to, you know, and was in talks to potentially play Kraven the Hunter in an upcoming Sony Spider-Verse kind of movie, right? And never confirmed, just rumor, but a new source has come out who has indicated that that meeting did in fact happen, but Keanu had since turned the role down, which is where the unfortunate part comes in for anybody who was hoping to actually see that happen. I think he probably would have been a pretty decent Kraven, depending on how it was written. It's not the first choice I would have had for like Keanu joining in the like MCU or any sort of Marvel movie, in all honesty. But if you look at like how, you know, visceral and great Keanu can be in action movies, like you just apply John Wick but throw in the fur, you know, coat on him and just have him running through with like a battle axe or something. I don't know. Like, I could see it happening. I could see him having done it. Wouldn't have been my first choice. So I'm not 100% really, I don't know. I'm not super affected by this by any means.
Doesn't seem like the villain type.
I'd love to see him play like a true, like, big comic book villain, though. Because everyone expects Keanu to come in and be like the good guy. And like, you know what I mean? So a lot of times like people want to be able to like stretch their legs a bit, play something a little outside of the box, you know. Keanu just coming in and playing in like another badass hero. Like he does that already. He's Neo, he's John Wick, he's Bill. Like, you know,
that's a hero right there.
like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen him be a villain, but I don't know. I personally know if he would really been the. I would have had to have seen the script to definitively say like Keanu's the guy for this, but the Kraven I picture in my head, I don't really see Keanu doing it. But again, I don't know the script, so like maybe I think he could have pulled it off if it was written in a way that would have suited him. So what do you guys think of this? Are you disappointed that Keanu's not playing Kraven though?
I don't really have an opinion on it one way or another, but I don't know why. I just don't. But whoever that one guy was that we talked about, I forget his name was, but he looks dead on like Kraven. Like he would be perfect for it. And when I first heard that he was even in talks to play him, I was just kind of like, it doesn't seem like something he would do. But I could be wrong. He could have been great.
Yeah, look, until we saw the script, there's no way of knowing. Because Keanu's a great actor. I like everything that he does, really. Like, he's not always in the best movies. He's been on a roll as of late.
Yeah.
Like, there are a couple movies, like that 47 Ronin movie, not very good. That movie where he, like, rebuilt, what was that, replicas? Not a good movie. God, what was this other one he was in? Like, Knock Knock, I think it was called.
Who's they?
Bad movie. But you got The Matrix, you got Bill and Ted, you got John Wick. These are all wins, man. And when Keanu's on, Keanu's on. The Lake House, good movie. Old movie. Not super old, but good movie. Him and old Sandy B there. What do you think, John? Do you think Keanu would have been a good Kraven? Or actually, because I think we could all say, like, Keanu could do anything. So if they cast him and the script was good and it suited him, I think we all would have been fine with him playing him. But do you think it was a good fit for like the Kraven that like you typically think of? It's like, would you go to Keanu Reeves when you think of Kraven in your head?
No. I guess it's as simple as that. I was actually, when I heard this, I was disappointed. I thought this was something that was close to being like a deal. And I had heard 6 months to a year ago that Keanu was in talks with Kevin Feige to join the MCU in some role. And that was my join the MCU. And so when I heard this news about Kraven, I thought, well, maybe Sony jumped in and was like, hey, wait, let's wrap Keanu up before the MCU gets a chance to put him in one of their movies. And I thought this was kind of a stunt casting type deal. Kraven's a foreign, he's not American. He comes to hunt Spider-Man. He's a giant burly man that hunts things. He's hunted the biggest game in the world, or the biggest game in the animal kingdom. And now he's here to hunt the biggest game in the world, man. He's hunting the ultimate man, Spider-Man. So Keanu, I just don't get that vibe from him. So I'm kind of happy that this didn't pan out. I think that obviously Sony's trying to find a way to expand their Spider-Man franchise with other villains. I just hope they find it.
Oh, I couldn't help it.
I had our mics muted because me and Rick just kept looking at each other. We're geeking so hard. I had to stop.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. You can keep going. I just had to everyone could see me and Rick just.
They're like, what are they laughing at? Like,
so I just had to tell everybody. So they all saw that you were frozen. So now you all know. John can go on and continue it.
So even in the studio, we can't get the freezing issue.
It's got to be something with Discord or something. I don't know what it is. It's weird because. And it's so weird because it happens like at random. Like it doesn't happen at not all the time, but it's weird.
Last week we made it through the entire show, I think. Or one time you said it.
Yeah, I think it happened before we actually started, and then it never happened during. It was weird.
But so I'll wrap up. I was just going to say that obviously Sony's looking to expand, and I hope they can do it in a smart way with characters that make sense and stories that make sense and actors that fit the role. Keanu just didn't, for me personally, fit that.
I agree.
Yeah, no, that's totally how I feel with it. And again, they could have wrote like this version of Kraven to in a way that like Keanu's the guy, but I mean, clearly he didn't really feel that way, or the something didn't. He wasn't really. I don't know. He didn't like it because he decided to pass on it. So who knows? It could all be for the better. It could be a disappointment. I mean, it's obviously disappointing for anybody who actually wanted to see him in that role. I think I would love to see him join the MCU or something like that, because that's
That'd be
one
cool.
thing like he hasn't done really. Like he was
John Wick would
Neo, he's John Wick,
He'd be
but
a good Avenger.
yeah, he's not. He hasn't really been in a big superhero movie or something. So I mean, they're the big things right now. So I mean, I'm sure it'll happen at some point. Marvel, like MCU, Kevin Feige's already talked to him about something. I think before everyone kind of assumed he would be like Moon Knight, which I didn't really see that one either. I think the problem is too, like it's when I think of Keanu, I can't even place what I would like him to be in my head. People thought like Wolverine, but like, I don't know if that would really work either. Like maybe Gambit, but like I don't know
I
if
could
that would
see
even
that.
work. Like
I could see that.
I don't see. I can't really see that though, because Gambit's more of like a, like he's cool. You know what I mean?
Cajun, man.
He's cool, dude. Keanu,
Keanu
I
Reeves
just
is
feel
cool
like,
as they come.
nah, but not that kind of cool. He's a different kind of cool. Like he's like a flaunt it cool. Gambit,
Keanu's more in a loose cool.
Yeah.
Gambit's more of a cocky.
yeah, you know, it's
True.
smooth, like smooth talking versus, oh, you're a cool dude. It's like, no, this dude's cool.
Like, he's a cool, he's a
This
cool
dude's real
dude.
Cool. Like I don't
Watch
know.
out.
I want to see him in something. Like I definitely do. I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Like what I just don't think any of the rumors that have came out for first Moon Knight and then now Kraven, I don't think those two fit. So I mean, it's very possible that he did meet with Kevin Feige and then met with Sony, and both of those were true. Maybe it was Moon Knight, and maybe it was this, and maybe he was just like, I don't fit that role. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? How's the best
That's
Keanu
not
can
gonna
do?
work for me.
Like, I don't think this is for me. So I don't know.
Thank you though for having me.
Yeah, right. But he's supposedly shooting John Wick 4 and 5 this year too, so I'm stoked for that. Because I want to see Keanu keep doing the things he's great at, and he's great at John Wick. He's gonna be in Matrix 4.
You killed my
Like
dog.
right now, dude, Matrix 4 and John Wick 4 were supposed to, weren't they? Like we did a story on it a while back. They were scheduled to come out like on the same day or in the same month or something.
Same week, yeah, same
Yeah.
week or something.
Well, that'd be cool. And then picture if he does get an MCU role, we could have Keanu or a DC role or something. 3 Keanu movies in a year. Matrix 5, John Wick 5, whatever.
There's been talk about a sequel to the Constantine film. DC, so you know, I think that's far out there, but it's at least been talked about.
And I'd actually like to see that too, because where that Constantine wasn't like Constantine. It was like a very own. It was an adaptation of Constantine. I guess that's the best way of saying it. It wasn't anything that was really trying to follow the source material, really.
It wasn't any lacking in the movie had nothing to do with him and the way he
I
played
like
it.
that movie. Like I think that's a good movie. Like on
That
its
is.
own, it's a great movie. Is it a movie that fits in with like Lucifer and Sandman and all that? Like no, it's kind of its own thing. Like, but because that's the crazy thing that not a lot of people know. Like Tom Ellis's Lucifer, like that's the same Lucifer that Constantine would be dealing with. So like,
It's very different from the movie and the show.
yeah. Like, and it's in the Lucifer show. While it's not a direct like adaptation of it, but like it takes a lot more elements from the series or from the comic than like the Constantine thing did. Like for the most part. But either way. Guys, question is, what do you think about this? Are you one of the people out there who was upset about this and was really happy about Keanu potentially playing Kraven? Or were you kind of like me where it's like, I think he could have done it, and I think it would have been great, but I personally like wouldn't have been my first choice for someone to play Kraven. But I totally want to see him come up in something like DC or MCU related. So let us know what your fan casting is of Keanu in either an MCU or a DCU movie down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So our next topic here is going to be about the upcoming MCU Disney Plus show, Falcon and Winter Soldier, which from the start had always been my most anticipated Marvel Disney Plus show. It was Falcon and Winter Soldier. But ever since we saw all the trailers that came out and everything for like Loki and all that stuff, like prior, like at a big Disney press conference thing before we even got WandaVision out and everything, because WandaVision has surprised me and has gone in a way that I never really thought it was going to go. And I think a lot of people probably feel that way. I think most are liking it more than they thought they were going to for whatever reason. I don't know. That's how I kind of feel about it. Like, but either way, because like Mandalorian, I expected to like. Falcon Winter Soldier, I expected to like. WandaVision was always a question mark, but what after all the trailers, though, WandaVision aside, WandaVision is great. The Loki show is actually what I'm kind of most anticipating now at this point, because that trailer like looked awesome. I don't know about you guys, but I really liked it.
Low key,
Low key,
I do look forward to the Loki show.
yeah, like low key. I'm with you there. I'm with you for sure. But with this though, what we did get was some confirmation. We were kind of talking about this before. It's like I don't really know. Maybe take this with a grain of salt because the headline I think is kind of maybe just a clickbaity headline, but there is actual substance to it, and I think it was just poor phrasing because they're suggesting that the main villain who's going to be, you were saying too that this is who was played Infus Nest, right? Yeah. So she is playing a character called Carly Morgenthau, which there's two things for that. One, they've gender bent the villain, Carl Morgenthau, and I'm not familiar with this criminal organization within the comics, so like, don't criticize me too much. I'm just reading the article, okay? But apparently, there's a Carl Morgenthau in the comics, and now for the show, they've switched to a female character and calling it Carly Morgenthau, and that's the assumption. It's not supposed to be like the daughter of Carl or whatever, or the wife. It's supposed to be like, no, that's just who it is now. They're just replaced it with Carly, and they're moving from there for a group called the Flag Smashers. And that's where I don't really know, like, take this with a grain of salt, because it's suggesting that this is the main villain, but I'm pretty sure, like, I mean, Zemo's in there, and Zemo was like the main villain of a big Marvel movie already, so I feel like it's more logical that he would be. There were some people out there saying, though, that it looked like Falcon and Winter Soldier in that latest trailer were, like, working with Zemo. I didn't really see that, so if you guys saw that, I don't know, maybe comment on that below, because I don't know. The trailer was just kind of quick scenes, so there wasn't a whole lot of, like, really anything given, like, from what I saw. You did see a couple people with this mask on. That's about it. Or at least one person, which I see at least would have been her. But anyway, this Carl Morgenthau character, who was also known as Flag Smasher, was the leader of Ultimatum, which is an anarchistic group bent on destroying the concept of nationalism to bring about a united world. So there we go.
Concept.
Yeah, I don't think that necessarily. I think it's just going to be like a side villain, side arc thing that's happening while like the big thing's actually happening. So that's just what I just don't see this being like the big thing that freaking Winter Soldier and Falcon have to deal with. It doesn't come across to me.
I don't mean in a bad way. She's, especially in Star Wars, she's not exactly the most imposing character. At least
I don't know. You look at Wanda Maximoff. Does she look imposing to you when she's just standing there?
Good point.
So I don't. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think Flag Smasher is supposed to have any powers though. So I don't know. But I mean, my thing is with it is like we got Batroc the Leaper's in the show, Zemo's in the show. I just figure one of them would be like the main villain of the thing, and maybe someone else. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with Flag Smasher, and which is another reason I kind of find it unlikely that that's the main villain. But who knows? Like, what do you guys think about this? I more or less thought it was interesting that they did the switch the genders of it and going on with this, and then just learning about who they were and the inclusion of Flag Smasher and all that. So I find that interesting to be another little nugget of the overall story in the show. But you guys got any thoughts on
I don't have a lot. This does not seem like a main villain. That seems like a very clickbaity headline there. I think that if anything, this could be a underling or an organization that Baron Zemo is using or manipulating to sow discontent or some sort of anarchy to further his plans. But as far as the main villain, that's very. I think that's more clickbaity than it is actually insider information or actual truth to what direction the story will go.
I am totally with you. Well, what do you guys then? Because I said off the top after the trailers, I'm probably more looking forward to Loki than anything else that's upcoming right now. Where do you guys stand on that? Because not that I don't want, like, I'm very glad this is coming out like very shortly after WandaVision. Don't get me wrong.
I think Loki will be good. I like Loki as a character.
Is that your most anticipated of
I
them?
would say so. Yeah, low
Yeah.
key, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still all in on the Falcon Soldier. I just the history of the Captain America franchise, and while Cap is gone, I think I mentioned last or while Cap is gone, this Falcon and Winter Soldier in the Cap family of characters, and so this is going to be a continuation of Cap legacy, or at least the Cap films. And when Feige announced that this was basically a movie that they have broken up into 4 parts, that made me even more excited for this. So I'm this is by far my most anticipated Disney Plus Marvel thing. And that's actually saying something because out of everything in entertainment coming out, all the MCU stuff jumps. This is this. Yeah, definitely. This is where I'm eager anticipated to see.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's still up there for me. That Loki trailer I thought was better than anything that these ones have put out. So that's probably the best way to explain it is like I was already excited for this like up here, but I was kind of more like here with Loki. And then when Loki trailer dropped, I was like, holy shit. Like that looks way better than I could ever imagine it was going to be.
I think the reason that Loki hasn't made that leap for me yet is it looks phenomenal. It looks like it could be a great show. I just don't know how influential it's going to be on the MCU as a whole. I feel like this is a more like Falcon Winter Soldier is a more like this is going to affect greatly the future of the MCU. I think we're going to basically, for lack of a better way of putting it, I think that we're going to establish who picks up the shield and who carries the shield for the next couple phases of Marvel movies. Versus the Loki series looks like it could just be a really fun show that just kind of self-contained, doesn't play a larger part in the MCU, which is fine. I love shows that are a little more self-contained. They can be excellent, but that's I think why it hasn't leapfrogged Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm actually like super excited about with Loki because if you remember, we had that article come out where the writer or somebody said that like they were already working on season 2 of Loki, or they just kind of offhand said like Loki season 2, like blah blah. So like kind of insinuating that like yeah they're gonna move on with more seasons of Loki post this one, whereas WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, these ones are more intrinsically tied into the MCU and the current story arc. I don't think they're going to be able to be as open-handed. Like, we might only get 1 season of WandaVision, 1 season of Falcon Winter Soldier, because it might not fit in anywhere else, and they have to fit in. But with Loki, you can just keep doing whatever you want. It's technically like a different Loki, and they're going to be doing things with the, the time, whatever they're called, the time police or whatever. Forget what they actually call them in the thing. But, like, I don't know, I just feel like the door's open for them to just keep going on and just do, like, some weirdo stuff. And, like, that has me excited. So,
yeah.
That's pretty much why I'm looking forward to it a lot. So one of the antitheses of what your excitement is for it is inherently what makes me even more excited for the show, because it could just be everlasting in a lot of ways. But anyways, guys, what do you think about this? Are you familiar with Flag Smasher and Ultimatum and all that good stuff? And are you excited to see them make an appearance in Falcon Winter Soldier? Do you think that they are indeed, or she is indeed, and Ultimatum are indeed the main villains of the show? Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So our next topic here got a lot of people speculating in a much better way than this is Star Wars related. So as far as the good speculation and good Star Wars talk occurred from this one as opposed to our previous story, Star Wars related story earlier, Ray Park, our boy Ray Park, posted an interesting thing on his Twitter, or not Twitter, but his Instagram account. Just showing, some Darth Maul looking stuff happening here. And John made a really good point too, that like maybe he just forgot to say like Throwback Thursday or something, because like it was just kind of out of the blue. This comes out, so everyone's obviously like, huh, is he going to show up in Obi-Wan? Is that why we're seeing this? Like, and I don't know, what do you guys think about this? Do you think it is a Throwback Thursday thing, or you think this is like maybe we're seeing this?
I think what you would see is some sort of flashback in the Obi-Wan show of him and Darth Maul. And I don't think it's a throwback. That the first thing I thought when I saw that was that I think like, oh, he's gonna make an appearance on Kenobi, even though with the timeline, you know, he is dead during that timeline. But you know, you can always do a flashback. So
Or the option on the table is retconning what happened in Rebels.
that's very true.
So I
Very
said from day
possible.
one, like, if they wanted to do that, fine. Like, in all honesty, like, as long as, like, because inevitably, you know, it's going to end the same. They would just be undoing the events that led to it, probably for the most part,
Yeah.
right? Because, like, Darth Maul is one of my favorite characters. If I could see him go out in a much better way than he went out on Rebels, I would take it.
Like
Okay,
a quick
like
little duel and he's
I would
just
take
dead.
it. Yeah, like we're talking like Duel of the Fates, and then like he goes from Duel of the Fates to just a quick one shot, like by Obi, and
Yeah.
like Obi
mean-
didn't have the high ground there. Okay, it shouldn't have been that quick.
Actually, there's a meme about that. He did because they were
Did he?
they were on a slightly like it was like a 3-degree angle, but he did technically have the high ground. I think though it's going to be a flashback to maybe that scene, just with actual actors in real life. You know, maybe they'll make it a little better.
Yeah, I don't know.
My 2 cents.
I genuinely don't know. Like, I think it'd be up. Maybe he's camoing as a completely different Zabrak.
Possible.
Like, maybe. Although you can see the Darth Maul looking tattoos, but a lot of them have the same kind of tattoo design, so you never know. It's maybe I don't know. I don't know. Would you be upset if they like retconned, because they've been playing it a little bit fast and loose as of late with canon and like what's canon, what's not, and as far as like kind of altering canon in some ways. Would you be upset if they brought Darth Maul into Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and just kind of ignored Rebels?
Not at all.
No?
No.
What about you, John? Would that upset you?
I haven't watched. I'm trying to make my way through. No, I. This seems like a big faux pas for an actor for a role that they haven't announced that he's going to. So I tend.
Hold on. We're not getting audio from you, John. No, you're not coming through.
What?
It's because I muted myself.
There
I'm
you go.
sorry.
Now you're coming through.
Wow. This in studio thing, I just don't know how to manage it.
At least I caught it before you went on and on. We could have went through the whole show. I caught it
That's
quick.
right.
Caught it quick.
So to recap, for those of you that aren't readers, lip readers, mouth readers. So I haven't watched Rebels, so I don't have a lot of opinion on whether or not I'd rather see him how he was in Rebels versus being an Obi-Wan. I'm working my way through Clone Wars, and I hope to get to Rebels someday, but that's probably going to be far off. That being said, I tend to not think that this is a hint by him that he's going to be an Obi-Wan, just because it seems like a pretty major faux pas for a actor to make, that they would release a promo image like this or a hint like this without some sort of pre-approval from Disney, or Disney releasing in some official capacity. Like, because we've already been told that Darth Vader is coming to Obi-Wan, correct? And things like that. So, you know, if they're not going to try and keep Darth Vader a secret, I'm not sure why they would keep Darth Maul a secret. Plus, he also hashtagged Solo in the picture that was posted. So, you know, I think it would be cool to see him in Solo or in Obi-Wan. I just, all these different little factors put together, this is quite the clue that everybody
Good point.
would like.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the hashtag of Solo could very well be a good indication that maybe it was more of a throwback thing.
Sure.
Well, and
Yeah.
the quote, you know, Dathomir, that's what he says in Solo.
Yeah, because he doesn't say like Duel of the Fates, or, you know, because that would kind of imply, okay, like Obi-Wan was there for Duel of the Fates. So I think it probably is, because I don't think it's like a throwback to like Phantom Menace days. I think if anything, it is a picture from, when he was doing something for Solo. Why it came out now, I don't know. It is an interesting thing. I'm kind of on the fence on whether or not I would really care about them kind of redoing things with Darth Maul, because kind of like you said, John, like you haven't seen Rebels, neither is most of the world. Okay, so like no one else knows what happened in Rebels. You ask a lot of people on the street right now, is Darth Maul alive or dead? They would tell you he's dead. They know nothing about him having extended life in Clone Wars and Rebels. They do not know that.
He was cut in half.
Yeah, no one, like, it's only people like us who know that Darth Maul lived on.
One thing too, just a stupid little fact. In Rebels, they've got those like toothpick lightsabers. I hate that. I hate it.
It's kind of just how Clone Wars and everything does that.
I mean, it literally dooks like a dowel rod. Like it's so tiny.
Speaking of which, you know what's always bothered me about Clone Wars and the stuff? Hold on, let me pull it up. Anakin Skywalker in Rebels, or not in Rebels, but in Rebels he was Darth Vader. In Clone Wars, tell me right now that this dude does not look like Sam Witwer. Tell me that doesn't look like Sam Witwer. Look, like Sam Witwer does Darth Maul's voice. He does the Emperor's voice. He doesn't do Anakin's voice.
But he does look like Sam Witwer.
But he looks like Sam Witwer. Like it's always bothered me. Yeah, like it's like, oh, cool, Sam Witwer, but not Sam Witwer. So that's weird. That's always bothered me. But speaking of Darth Maul, we got a review coming at this guy soon. So just had to throw that up. Solo Darth Maul. Speaking of Solo Darth Maul,
we got an in-person preview of that.
Yep,
it's nice figure.
Yeah, if you want to, like, they've both seen it live in person, but if you guys want to see the little quick preview, I mean, there's other people who have had it and reviewed it, obviously, but if you want to see me pull it out of the box in person with my own reaction, check out the stream from this past Friday. I might cut those out because it was more of like a little preview thing, but I don't really know what the point is because I'm just going to do the full review. So, but it's there. If you go back and watch this last stream, it was good. Go do that. We got some wins on some Warzone that night, so it was a good stream on multiple accounts. We got two hot toy unboxings done and got some wins in Warzone. So, but the question is, guys, what do you think about this tweet, or I keep saying tweet, this post, this Instagram post from Darth Maul? I guess it's true in some ways. It was from Darth Maul, but from Ray Park posting his Darth Maul little head scalp thing there that he has to put on forward. Do you think there's an indication that he is going to be in this Obi-Wan show? Maybe a flashback, like Rick suggested. Maybe. Would you be upset if they were to retcon the whole Rebels Clone Wars events in some way just by merely having his appearance on there for something? Like, and if, like, kind of like John said too, if we're already getting Vader back, do we really need Maul? I mean, that's kind of where I would come, like, add to what John was saying. Like, why would they hide it if we already know Vader's coming back? Why do we need it if we got Vader? I don't know. It just seems kind of odd that you would go with the route. So I'm kind of thinking that this probably was just like a throwback Thursday kind of thing. And he just didn't hashtag TBT this. You know what I'm saying? But whatever you think, let us know down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So our final topic here is actually just going to be our spoiler discussion of WandaVision Season 1, Episode 6. And it was a doozy. This one gave us a lot of confirmation of theories and crushed a lot of theories and just... I brought up new theories, honestly. There's like a lot of theories that have already been floating out there that like I didn't necessarily buy into. But there's one now that like I'm almost convinced at this point that it is 100% accurate. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. Well, I'm obviously going to bring it up later in the show. But first, let's get everyone's quick thoughts before we go through and kind of break down and analyze it. I got like a whole novel's worth of notes that I took on this thing, man. Like on my second watch through this morning, I was just like... Every time, like, I was like, what's this mean? Right? I got into it, dude. So what did you guys think of the episode overall? And then we can kind of go through and kind of break this thing down, kind of piece by piece and dissect it, if you will. What do you guys think?
I thought it was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it your favorite one since? Because I feel like every week I have to say, like, this was better than the last one. And I think you're doing something right if every week your audience is saying like, well, that was better than last week's. And you're just constantly outdoing yourself. Good place to be in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I definitely think it was better. Like you said, a lot of questions are answered and theories confirmed, et cetera, et cetera. But you know, just have to wait and see what happens, I guess.
true. We only got 3 more episodes.
I don't know. This show is just. I keep waiting for like a bad episode or a mediocre episode. And they just keep each episode is just tremendous, and I've just from the very first scene of the very first episode, I've kind of been in love with this show, and it's one of my favorite MCU things that they've done. So yeah, this episode was great, and it hit that high bar that all the other episodes have set. So
I'm with you, man. I think the craziest thing here is that like we have only 3 episodes left. I think everybody thinks that there's some other player involved. Like I think, especially after this week's episode, everyone can kind of definitively say Wanda is the cause and in control of pretty much everything. But I know a lot of people, and I kind of think too, like once you hear what my theory is, you'll know I think there is another force there. But I don't think it's actually like, I think the Agatha Harkness thing, you could pretty much throw that out, in my opinion. I think you could obviously throw out right away that this Pietro is not from the X-Men. Like, it's not Evan Peters' Pietro or Peter from X-Men at all. It's like, he's pretty much playing someone who is saying they are MCU Pietro and acknowledge that he looked different. So
yeah, because he did say that.
Yeah, he literally said,
like, I know I look different.
Yeah. But then like, well, before we jump too much into it, let's go through. So we obviously got I don't know if they just completely skipped the 90s or if they're considering like the early 2000s and the 90s kind of the same thing, because I will say I got 90s vibes from this intro, but this was obviously like the rip on Malcolm in the Middle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Which came out in the year 2000. And every time I keep saying that, I keep thinking of the old Conan bit. You guys remember that? In the year 2000.
yeah.
That's all I'm thinking of now. Those are good little bits, man. Conan was good. But yeah, that's what this was supposed to be. And the one thing I thought was interesting about this was that we got Agnes in the title, and Agnes hasn't been in the title. Like the intro to WandaVision itself actually had Agnes in here, and she hasn't been in any of the other ones. That was really the only interesting thing about it. But at the same time, you gotta get confirmation almost later that she isn't anything special. So that's really the only thing I had like a takeaway from this that I thought was interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
John, you froze again in a very, very unenthusiastic way. You're just like, God. Oh, man. Okay. But yeah, so I don't know. Did you guys think that like this was odd that she was in here now? Like you think it's just like reading too much into it, or what do you think?
I don't know. Hard to say. But like you said,
I didn't think there was much to it. I thought I'm trying to remember the old black and white openings. I thought she was in one as a name character. I thought her and the neighbor that was chainsawing the brick wall. Herb. I thought both of them were in one of the black and white openings. Well, maybe I'm not remembering that correct.
I might be mistaken too. I'm not 100. That was the first thing I thought of when I saw it. Is that just stood out to me. I might be wrong. Like you might be right. It's not something I actually went back and researched and watched all of them. I just offhand, it was the first thing that jumped out to me. It's like, huh, she's there now. Interesting.
Yeah.
The other kind of thing to note too is that Pietro or whoever this is does in fact have super speed. So we know, like, or at least is appearing to Wanda as if he has super speed and everyone else around him. So I think no matter how you look at it, since he is like a physical being in the WandaVision world, he does have the super speed. And to note, he does not have like the speed effects that the Fox Pietro had. He has Aaron Taylor Johnson's MCU Quicksilver speed blur that he explicitly had. It wasn't in no way it was how he looked in X-Men. So I think you can throw the whole like X-Men thing out the window at this point. Like personally, you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I would say so.
Like, unfortunately for anybody who wants it, like I think you could throw.
We talked about this off camera a little bit ago. I just don't know why you bring this actor to play this part if you're not going to somehow try and tie it back to the X franchise. Whether it's because there is a multiverse that exists in the Disney universe, when her magic goes out to pull her brother in, she accidentally, unknowingly pulls in the wrong brother, but puts the wrong consciousness in his body. You know, I don't know what that but it just seems like such an odd, even if it's simple as like, oh, we want to have an homage to the Fox films or this other Quicksilver. It just seems like such a strange choice to do that by casting an actor played this character, but played in a completely different universe. I feel like there has to be some rationale to do that beyond a wink and a fuck.
It's a good point.
That's what I thought before. Like I was totally in agreement with that until this episode played out. And I still don't know why you do it. I can't really answer that other than just like to give a nod to it and to make people think that's what's up. Like, which I think is kind of dirty in all honesty. Like, it's kind of a dirty play, you know, just throwing it in there to make people speculate. But it also, I mean, it's also one of those things where like I'm not surprised that the MCU wouldn't go in the route of bringing in those characters because, like I said last week or a week before, whatever, it was a failing franchise. Like there was really no reason for them to do it. Like Kevin Feige would want to make his own X-Men. Why would he want to bring in like, despite them all being great actors, their movies at no fault of their own, they went down. They had a steady decline in quality, and then people's engagement in them. They didn't like. They went from like 800 million to 500 million. I think Dark Phoenix made like 250 million worldwide. You know, no one cared. There's people out there. The majority of people out there did not know that this dude played Quicksilver in an X-Men movie. You know what I mean? Like, just like no one knows that Darth Maul didn't actually die in Phantom Menace. Like, more people out there had no idea who this was. Like,
I think it's just to add an element of mystery to the show. I mean, it's so mysterious as it is, and then throwing this on top of it, it's just another like, what? You know, sort of thing.
I think it's just a meta thing that they did. Like, which I appreciate. It's fun. It's also, though, I really don't understand why he would do it. Like, especially since the only other thing to really note, though, is in the previously on WandaVision thing, they showed Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver dying. They showed him, which is kind of interesting. Like, why would you think we're going to get an Aaron Taylor Johnson appearance? Do you think that's actually going to happen at this point?
What if he comes in and he's like, wait a minute, this isn't who you think it is, you know, and then kind of like the Spider-Man scene where they're all pointing at each other in the comic. Yeah, just like, but who knows?
I don't know. I didn't think we would get one before, but now I think it's more likely that we do. Just because they showed him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think it was pretty much just to show emphasis to people who I was pretty much just saying, like, had no idea this was even Quicksilver. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think it's actually Quicksilver. Because then the other thing happens, too, where during, like, when they go and right at this scene where he starts talking to Wanda about the Halloween that they went to as kids, it's where they show like those dead fish and they knock on the door and you can hear like gunfire and shit in the background. Like there's a war going on while they're trick or treating, which just shows that they grew up in a rough place. But after that scene happens where it shows the flashback, this was a story that Pietro brought up. Wanda says explicitly, like, that's not how I remember it. Like, which I took as like, this dude doesn't. is not even who he says he is.
That's what I was
This
saying.
is someone impersonating Pietro. It doesn't actually know anything about, unless it's something you read in a report or something that he would know. Like, because later on he tells her like all he remembers being shot in the street. Anybody would be able to know that Quicksilver in the MCU died that way. Like, it was already been showcased that like regular humans have like very intimate details as to like Avenger level events. Like Jimmy Woo and them knew that Wanda almost killed Thanos herself. They knew Captain Marvel almost killed Thanos herself. Like, people know a lot of things about this. They would know Quicksilver died in the street. That would be something that anybody could say if they're impersonating somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's mysterious for sure.
Yeah. So then, like, Pietro goes on to, like... I'll wait for that one. But right after, like, during this scene, though, our boy Vision goes to leave, and then Wanda's like, well, no, wait, that's not what you're supposed to do. Like, she explicitly, like, because Wanda's like, or Vision's like, I'm gonna go do this, like, patrol thing. And she says, like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. Like, but then, like, she stopped saying that so he doesn't, like, look at her all like, what are you talking about? I can do whatever I want. Because, like,
I have free will.
Yeah, it seems like Vision has, like, essentially completely broken out of any sort of control that Wanda had over him. That's what I got from that. Because, like, she was always able, like, she rewound time on him and, like, just made him redo the line that one time when he kind of broke out. But I took that as, like, her little, like, setups here are, like, literally no longer working on him. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I took that as, if you guys remember that scene.
Yeah.
Like, because she never had to be, like, so... I don't know, like, it's the first time we saw something like that happen. So, like, to me, I took it as, like, her hold on him. And then you kind of see, like, later, another theory I had was, like, when you go and they start doing, when he starts going out on his walk, and he gets to, like, the edge where all the people were just, like, standing there, not even moving, I initially thought, like, I think Wanda's power is slipping in general. Because she's no longer able to hold everybody under control at once.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, so it's either that or back in the like episode, what was it, 5 or 6, when she says to him, like, what, do you think that I can actually control everybody here? Like, when they walk their dog and all this stuff? Like, maybe she really has never been able to control everybody. So, like, everyone else is just, like, out on the edge, is just, like, in sleep mode until she activates them. Which I think is a little bit more far-fetched. I think her just kind of losing control over it and like just not being as strong anymore, which dips into what I think is actually going on here with which we'll get into later. But I took it as like she's losing like control a little bit. Like, she's like, it's not just Vision who is broken free of her. Like, she's just blatantly not able to do it anymore, which is kind of contradicted by the end of the thing when the whole thing blows up a bit. But I don't really know how else to like kind of take that. Like, why else would everybody just be zombies at towards the end of the bubble?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd think in a lot of ways, like, they're right next to the bubble, so it'd be like a pretty strong effect on them. I don't know. You guys,
She's everything emanates from her, then they're on the furthest.
right?
It's like gravity.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Good analogy.
That's why my initial thought was like she's just losing control, because that doesn't make sense if she would just like I get that she would activate people to like do certain things, but like they're human beings and they're just standing still. Like, are they eating? Like, they're going to the bathroom? Like, you know what I mean? They gotta be doing something. Like,
doesn't that not to or
oh, you're good.
doesn't that scene where they're all frozen kind of take place concurrently with Quicksilver questioning her and saying, "How are you doing this? Where are the kids? I assume you left in bed." He's kind of grilling her why she's doing it, how she's doing it at the same time. And as we've seen in the past, when Wanda gets flustered or her illusion about this idyllic life that they have created is questioned or broken, she tends to lose some grip on some control. Like the guy that was choking first episode, he starts choking when she gets questioned about where they're from and stuff. So I wonder if that suspension of those, or that them being frozen in time had her emotions by being questioned by her brother than it did with any kind of just this is how our powers work.
Right, that's possible because that was another thing too. Like, I was gonna get into with like it seemed like Pietro was fishing information out of her.
Yeah.
Like, because we he shows and like tells that he is explicitly aware of what's going on. He knows Wanda's behind it. He knows that like literally like there were no kids there, all that stuff. He is like intimately aware of everything that's happening and is like kind of like in on it, if you will. But it's odd that he was like drilling him for her for information for a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it even seemed like in this beginning scene that like he wanted Vision and her to be separated. Like he was like, "Oh no, let's let him go do his thing." Like, you know, because that way he could be alone with Wanda and drill her, like for this information.
If he's from Sword.
I don't know. I think he's Knightmare. Honestly, I literally think after you see the I'm just gonna jump into it now just so I can get it out of the way. That's my new thing that I'm like kind of going all in on. That like I think Knightmare is behind this. And I think it's like all Wanda. Like Wanda's doing everything, but Knightmare is feeding off of her psychokinetic energy. So he wants to know like the reason behind him disguising himself as Pietro. How he knows like to look like that one or why he does, I don't know. I can't really explain that. But it would make sense for Knightmare to want to know how she's doing it so he could replicate it himself. You know what I mean? Because if he has a very similar power set in some way, then he could do the same thing. Maybe he's just morbidly curious. But when that commercial comes up and it's like, yo magic, and like, you know, I just feed off yo magic and all that, implied to me that like that's probably exactly what's going on. Like somebody is like literally feeding off of Wanda's magic.
Yeah, that
And,
was
like,
a kind of a weird commercial.
yeah. Well, that's because it showed like she gets the thing of yo magic, and like the kid just withers away and dies. Yeah, that's how I took
dark.
it. Yeah, I took it as like, okay, well, Wanda is supposed to be the kid in the situation, and then I'm just placing Knightmare as the shark in that situation because like it fits. And they said Knightmare twice in this episode. Just saying. They never really said it before. Referred to the way they used the term and the phrase Knightmare. They hadn't really described the things that they were describing in that way, like with that word, ever before this episode. So it was a coincidence that Knightmare was used twice in the episode that made me think it was Knightmare. But hey, never know. Never know. Could be complete coincidence. But what else? So I had another point with the Knightmare thing. I can't remember what it is right now, but I'm just going to keep going. And then, the other interesting thing is while they were out there on the street, I mean, one, we got the Kick-Ass reference.
Yeah.
So that was good.
That was just a pretty straight up reference.
Yeah, it was just like
Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass. Like, so that we got that. Dude's a dick. I don't think he's a bad guy, by the way. A lot of people think he is like the bad guy. Like,
no, I don't think he is. I never got that idea.
I think
he's a
just,
dick.
He's just a dick. Like, I think he's just a regular ass dude who does want to do the right thing, but he's just a dick. You know what I mean?
He wants control of the situation.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think it'd be too on the nose for him to be a bad guy anyway. It's like they're painting him out to be too much of a bad guy, which I don't know. We'll probably find out pretty damn soon. Well, we definitely will. There's only 3 episodes left, but come the end of the episode, it's only him, Wanda, or not Wanda, but Monica and Wu, and whoever his driver was. What else do we got here? So this scene too, like, remember, like, Pietro gets asked the question, and he dodges the question. Like, Wanda gives him a test question. He dodges the question and then never answers the question. Which is why another reason why I think this isn't Pietro at all. You know what I mean? Because, like, why wouldn't he just, if you knew the answer, you just say the answer real quick. Like,
True.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't like a hard question. It was like, what's that kid with the skin thing? Like, oh, Billy. Like, you know, you just know the answer if you knew the answer. And the other interesting thing that happened here on the street was like Herb broke character just like Agnes did in the scene before. or in the episode before, where she's like, "Do you want me to like redo that? Like, you want me to take it from the top?" Like, he does the same thing. He's like, "Wanda, is there anything? Is everything okay? Is there something you want me to change? Anything?"
Yeah,
And like, even that,
that was
like,
weird.
she had the same reaction that she had to Agnes, where she's just like, "No, like, why are you saying that?" Like, 'cause I really think that she truly does get lost in this herself.
Oh yeah,
Like
how could you not?
yeah, like she forgets the fact that she's like making any of this happen. It's almost like one of my theories I had before, where like maybe this all started with her doing her own mind control power, as she did to the Avengers in Age of Ultron, on herself, and then from there, it just evolved and it became real. Like, I don't know. That was one of my theories prior to this, and then the kids end up getting the powers. But here's the thing, man. Here's the Yo Magic scene. Like, this is why I think it was Knightmare, man. I'm just saying. What do you guys think about it being Knightmare?
I'm not familiar enough with the character of Knightmare to really know.
Well, here's another reason too. I just remembered why I thought it was Knightmare, is because Knightmare was supposed to be the villain in Doctor Strange 2 when Scott Derrickson was attached to it. So, like, I have a theory that perhaps Scott Derrickson left the project. It was stated they left over creative differences, which could mean absolutely anything. But I'm thinking that, like, he wanted to do something specifically with Doctor Strange and Knightmare and stuff that did not fit in with what Kevin Feige and them wanted to do with, like, WandaVision and Spider-Man, all leading into Doctor Strange and having this big arc. All three of these movies. Like, I think he just wanted to do his own thing and not deal with that. So that would, to me, be a pretty common creative difference, where it's like, well, that's not what I wanted to do with the character. It's not what I wanted to do with the movie, so I'm going to leave. So then it would make sense that Knightmare would be here, because if he was supposed to be in Doctor Strange.
What year did The Incredibles come out? Because that'll tell you when this is supposed to be set.
Well, Parent Trap came out in the 90s, and then Incredibles came out in the 2000s.
Okay.
So
maybe it is a tie-in of both decades.
I think it was initially a tie-in of both.
Just to kind of skip over it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good point. Let me find the correct dates real quick. The Incredibles. February 5th, 2004. Parent.
The Lindsay Lohan one,
Yeah.
I'm imagining.
1998.
Yeah, so I guess it is kind of a...
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a conglomerate of both. But then later in this scene, too, like, Pietro goes on and he indicates that he was literally in here. Like, he's here by design of Wanda. It's what she wanted. All he remembered.
Isn't this what you wanted?
Yeah, like, all he heard was dying on the street. Or all he remembered was, like, dying on the street, getting shot for no reason. And then she even gets the flash of, like, dead Pietro. And he has the same bullet holes and everything that Aaron Taylor Johnson had.
Yeah.
The kids got their powers. What else we got? Our boy, so our boys got our powers too. Like, that happened pretty quick. Do you think there, John? Because I know you were kind of thinking that, like, the thing with her blood is going to be the mutants. Like, that's what's going to bring mutants back in. Did you say that's what you thought? Because a lot of people are saying that. I don't really buy it.
I thought that might be her. I thought that might be her. Their way to bring mutants. Everybody in the town basically will end up becoming the mutant population in growing MCU. Just because clearly there's something going on with being in the barrier. It says their DNA is being rewritten on a molecular level. And if that alteration of the DNA leads to mutations, then you get your mutants come.
Yeah. I think it's a possible angle they could go with it. I think it's, like, too easy, though.
What if
And then you
Rainbow
lose
becomes
a lot
a
of the...
mutant?
Do what?
What if Rainbow becomes a mutant?
Well, she already has powers in the comics. Her character has powers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, like, I'm thinking more or less, like, one of two things. She already had her powers and no one knew, so that's why her tests look like that. Two, her powers were dormant and this thing just kind of, like, accelerated the process. Three, maybe she was given her powers by this, but she's different than everyone else because she's gone in and out of the thing, as opposed to everyone inside of it's just inside of it right now. So who's to say that their cells are being rewritten altogether? You know what I mean? Like maybe it's a thing that happens because she went out and then back in, that kind of thing. I don't know. I could see them doing it, but you lose a lot of the if mutants are born here, you lose a lot about what makes mutants, like in a lot of ways. Like I don't know if that's what they would do with it. And then you have this scene come up like this was weird. Everyone that passed Ellis Avenue, this scene made me think that like Agnes is just a person and like had nothing to do with, like, she could have just been fibbing them. But like it kind of like John, you said, like, but he does the thing to her head that like wakes her up out of a trance. So how would that work if she wasn't actually under a trance? You know what I mean? Like, so like, and I totally get that. So that's why I really do think she's just like a normal person, just stuck here. And then confirmation, of course, that Vision doesn't even know what an Avenger is. So like, this is not Vision. This is some new Vision. Has nothing to do with previous Vision. Right here,
doesn't remember.
Do what?
Has no memory of like the prior past events or anything like that.
Knows absolutely nothing. And right here, this was the stupidest thing like ever. I gotta say, from someone who works in IT, like, she was on the Sword Base's network already with a Sword laptop. There's nothing she needed to hack into. She was on the network already. So that was just TV IT right there. Like, all you'd have to do is have a password to get into the computer. But she was already into the computer when she's like, I'm hacking the network. You're on the network. You don't need to hack it. Like, stop it with the TV ID. You're talking about CMBRs and all this shit. You can't get something right about hacking. Like, I get it though, because it's just like a simple way to just like let people know, like, clicky, clicky, clicky. We're doing stuff. But like, also, since when was she a hacker? She's an astrophysicist. Okay, it's like smart people can hack. I guess that's just what they're implying.
Hackertyper.com.
Yeah, and then but the only thing you really get out of this scene was the cells, right? And then but then the cataract thing. And I have a theory that this cataract thing obviously has something to do with eyes, right? Cataract, Vision, eyes. Okay, Sword had Vision's corpse. I think Project Cataract might be them trying to build their own vision. Like they used Vision to build their own vision, and then maybe, just maybe, we get a new Ultron out of it, as opposed to a new Vision. Because if you look at the IMDb for WandaVision, James Spader is listed as the voice of Ultron. So just throwing that out there, it's possible. It could be fake though. It could have been something. It looks like it's already been updated to not reflect it too. So maybe someone got onto it and took it off, because I just did a. Hold on, let me do a full cast and search this again. James B. Spencer. Okay, James Spader is no longer listed on WandaVision IMDb, which is interesting. But I mean, it could have been up there by, I don't know, inaccuracy before. I don't know, or maybe they took it down because they found out it was a spoiler.
True.
But who knows? Something to take note of. But that is something I think that could happen. Is like Cataract is actually like Sword's like own version of Vision they tried to build or spin up, and it could be how we get a new Ultron or something. Okay. Oh, what else do we got here? Where am I missing anything that you guys like had like come up around these parts of time? Because I'm trying to go over my notes here.
No,
and this is kind of where I'm at.
Not for me at least.
Good. Yeah, so Agnes seems, I think, just like a regular person at this point, 100%. Monica referred to her aerospace engineer fella as a guy. So we know that presumably, because she says my guy. So I'm going to go on a limb and say she literally meant that as like he is a guy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people like said that if you were to change, back when she first spoke about the aerospace engineer, in Spanish, it used the female pronunciation for the line. I think it was probably just because a female said it, and that's how it got interpreted, like by the dialogue, I guess, is why it came off that way. Because it was obviously wrong, but
people looking at, like, I mean,
I know that's a stretch. People go deep with this shit.
Just like what was the thing last week where the descriptive text said something like the X-Men from the X-Men movie franchise. I mean, I'm sorry, but at some point, they're not. At some point, they farm out this stuff to other parties because it's simply simple translation. So, lost in translation takes or lost in interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe they would let some major spoilers slip in the descriptive text or in the Portuguese language adaptation of the dialogue, but I just doubt it. And so I don't think I think people that are mining it for that sort of thing are missing something. I think are missing something in about the show. Like I don't think you're gonna find your answer.
Oh, I know. I love that people go out of their way to actually do that though. They watch it and they're like, okay, now let's watch it with the descriptive text on. Okay, now let's watch it with Spanish subtitles and the French subtitles. And they just sit there and they just watch it, see if anything. It's like, man, I wish I had that kind of time and patience just to sit there and maybe get information out of something that may or may not be correct and will inevitably not matter in any way, shape, or form because you're gonna watch the show and you're gonna get the answer anyway. Just relax, just chill out. But I think it's funny. But in this scene too, where Pietro starts drilling her for these information, he brings up the line, Rick, I think you said too about the kids. He brings up so where were you hiding the kids? You know what I mean? Or did John? One of you said it already. Yeah. It was so where were you hiding the kids? And he wasn't turned off about it. You know what I mean? He was just, he's completely on board with it. He says that he didn't think it was wrong and he's impressed by her ability to even do this, which again I think is kind of telling to where it doesn't just seem. I know we didn't really know the character of Pietro that much, but why would some speedster be impressed with that, with this whole thing? I think the only person that would be impressed with this is someone who has similar abilities as she does.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Not someone who has no idea about what it's like to be anything like Wanda is. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think if this is Pietro or if this is her brother, that it could be a brotherly, hey, wow, I didn't know you had that kind of power. I'm impressed type brother. That if it ends up being Pietro, it'll work. It's not like that scene won't work for me anymore.
I agree.
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of odd.
It is a little odd.
The whole thing's odd.
Which is true too.
A sibling kind of pride that he's expressing. See,
right? Yeah, but then we got then Billy got his powers shortly after this, and then that's pretty much the big thing. And then once everybody gets into once all this happened and Vision is dying outside, we're essentially sitting here watching Vision die for a third time. So we got that going on. So this guy obviously came out and proved that he cannot exist outside of this. He has to be in this hex. The only thing
I don't know.
You're froze again, by the way.
It wasn't that he couldn't exist. It was that he was literally being
ripped apart.
Pulled back into. He was being pulled back into the hex.
Yeah, but not in just a nice way.
No. And I'm not saying I maybe I'm splitting hairs. It wasn't like he walked outside of the hex and completely turned off and died. He was still operational and living outside
the
of
hex was just pulling him back.
The hex was pulling, ripping him apart to get him. So I understand what you're saying about he can't live outside of it. I would just counter that he can live outside for long. It'll rip him apart.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, but needless to say, he can't live outside of it. At least that's what's going to happen. But what was weird, which take this with however you want, that Infinity Stone is there. At least what looks like an Infinity Stone is there on his head.
Yeah.
Take that with a grain of salt. Because I mean, if that thing was just But I mean, no, matter was changed. That's the thing that's weird, though. Monica's clothes got changed, and they didn't change back or started to get ripped up back into the thing when it left. She was changing everything on a molecular level when it goes in. So,
Yeah.
like,
That's like when you saw the beekeeper guy. He goes in like a hazmat suit and comes out as a beekeeper because it makes sense for that time period.
exactly. And then, like, when Monica leaves, her clothes stayed the same. So,
Yeah.
like, they didn't start getting ripped apart back into the hex like Vision did.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think the Infinity Stone's there, but the dude can't live outside the hex, that's for sure. So yeah, we're obviously gonna have to watch Vision die again at the end of this, I'm pretty sure. So
Probably.
but then the other thing too, like, is like the only thing that contradicts kind of my theory about Wanda not having enough like her powers being weakened, right, or something, and she's not able to control like everybody on the outskirts of the town anymore, like maybe because something's draining her energy or whatnot. The end of the show kind of throws a wrench in that but it could have just been like a adrenaline type rush, you know, because she just does this thing and the hex expands drastically, which is not really the sign of somebody who is losing their power.
If anything, gaining.
Yeah, but this was also like a holy shit, like Vision's about to die. I need to save something. I need to do something right now, and just like adrenaline kicks in, and like boom, now we have a bigger hex, and he's in it, and blah blah. But then the only thing to really note from here, though, is that Darcy gets sucked in, and they don't show what she turns into.
I liked the whole like fuck.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna see her, and since we're gonna be in the 2010s now, going into it, either 2000s or 2010s, she will probably end up wearing this outfit right here. You ready? This is what we're gonna get. This is her character when she goes back in.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I mean, they got to. How could they not, right? I never watched the show, so like anybody could do it, but like it has to be this, right? When was the release date for Two Broke Girls?
2011.
Did it say it?
Yeah, Two Broke Girls premiered in September of 2011.
Well, there we go. That's what I think is going to happen. They're going to the 2010s. They're going to do the thing. Boom. She's going to be waitress or something. And there we go. There we go. We're going to go from there.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to happen. So I don't know. And we're obviously going to meet this dude, whoever this aerospace engineer is. Oh, yeah. That was one thing I did forget to go over. The aerospace engineer has got to be somebody important, I think, at this point.
They're building it up to be.
Yeah. They've already literally teased him for 2 episodes now, like back to back. If it was going to be like a nothing thing, and not like some sort of major character, we wouldn't have heard this episode wouldn't happen. Like we would have just never heard about him again, and they would have moved on. Kind of like the Jimmy Woo being there for someone in witness protection. Haven't heard about it since. That was just a plot device. It seems like it was just a plot device to get the FBI agent of Jimmy Woo at the scene. Like, I think that's literally all it was.
Yeah.
So I still think I told John this off camera. I think it could be Rocket Raccoon. I don't know why he would be referred to explicitly as an aerospace engineer, but he's the only person in the MCU right now who we know can build spaceships and stuff like that, and who would be up for building something to go on like a suicide mission. That has Rocket Raccoon written all over
like
it.
The last person I would have thought, but
well, I mean, who else would it be? Like seriously, think about who else it's gonna be. Because if it's not someone new. I mean, the only other people I got is like Hank Pym, but
that's what I was thinking.
He's not explicitly an aerospace engineer though, and that's what's the most intriguing part. Is they said like they specifically said they wrote it in the script for Monica to say aerospace engineer who would be up for this.
Yeah,
could be something just to throw you off the scent so you don't know who it is or what. Because like realistically,
I think it's Thor.
Yeah.
Kidding.
True. No, but that fits Reed Richards more than anybody. But then they've gone out and said that, like, or the showrunner said that the Fantastic Four have like nothing to do with this. But like, that's also what somebody would say when the Fantastic Four do have something to do with it.
We talked about that off stream. That's such a like low key, basic way to bring in a major character. Hey, First time Mr. Fantastic shows up, he builds Monica a car. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but
Like,
you know how cool it would
The
be.
guy who's responsible
for building the ultimate nullifier shows up in the MCU with a tricked out van. Like, okay, cool.
But you still know how cool it'd be for, like, you see some feet walking into frame and Monica's like, here's my guy. And then, like, she turns around, shakes his hand, and you just see the shot of the handshake, and then the camera pans up, and he's like, hey, Reed Richards.
Okay.
And it's John Krasinski.
It would be cool,
That'd be
but
great.
still, it's terribly lame in the scheme. Like, that's such an undersell for such a major character.
I'll
Like,
counteract with this. It's better than any of the Fantastic Four movies you've already gotten.
Yeah.
okay, but instead of getting on your left, at the culmination of, or at the big battle in Endgame, instead we got, like, right before they snap, Falcon turns around and hand them the last piece that makes the nanotech love. He's like, oh wait, Tony, you forgot your battery. Oh, and we're back. I'm just saying,
I'm with you.
it's cool. Just it's smaller way to bring in such a.
Well, no,
I would put,
to that
I'll put
point, I'm with you on that. I don't think it's Mr. Fantastic, but to your point, I'm saying the exact same thing about mutants. You're going to introduce mutants on WandaVision? Why?
because it's Disney's first.
Doesn't matter. Mutants are
It's their first
lazy.
foray into this medium or this type of storytelling, and it's also they're planting their flag in the streaming wars. And what better way to plant your flag in the streaming wars by saying we're bringing you mutants?
Then they would just have an X-Men show. They wouldn't introduce it in WandaVision.
Maybe.
I don't see the correlation to that. Like, I get what you're saying, but, like, people aren't watching the show because they think mutants are gonna be, like, you know what I mean? It's like it's I just don't think, if you, like, they deserve their own thing, not to be. We got 3 episodes left. They're just gonna breeze by this mutant thing then. Like, if it's actually happening, it's just like there's only an hour and a half.
This is laying the groundwork for the mutants to be fully integrated into the MCU. I'm not saying they're going to have mutants at the end of it and just go forward like mutants being nothing, like they're just established characters going on. I'm saying, like, the culmination of this, the final episode ends with somebody saying something like, it appears like your genes have mutated or something like that, and then get the beginning of the introduction of actual mutants. And I'm not even saying that that's going to happen. I'm just like, they made a very specific point of saying that her cells have been changed on a molecular level because of being inside the hex. And so I feel like that with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch's history of with mutant, and they're bringing the actor in from the X-Men, I feel like that isn't all just random. I think they're setting up something. I don't know if it's mutants. It could not be. I would put mutants higher on my probability.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on that camp for a while because it made sense because of Wanda being a mutant. Like, if you're gonna do it in any way, do it. I just think it doesn't do the mutants any justice if they just exist as a result of an Avenger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Charles Xavier, Magneto, all these people lose their backstories, lose all the character development that they have that actually defines who their characters are. Just, nope, you were in Westview, and Wanda did her thing there, and now you're one of the most powerful beings in the universe. How do you feel? Like, it's just kind of dumb. Like, when you actually start to think about it. Like, I get it. It's a very easy, kind of lazy way to bring mutants in my opinion, even though it fits and it's a possible thing. I just feel like you lose a lot. Like Magneto being, and like, they can't really do the whole Holocaust concentration camp thing for Magneto anymore because he'd be like 90 some odd years old. But like that's powerful. Like that's a big deal. Like that's what defined who that character is. And him being born of like WandaVision doesn't have the same effect, in my opinion. You know, you're frozen again.
You frozen.
You're frozen.
Let it go.
But I could totally see it happening. Like I could totally see it happening. That's what I initially thought from like the start was like when we see Pietro come in and he's that guy, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's just. And I'm not saying X-Men are off the table. They're very much on the table, just like Mephisto's still on the table. It's just if I had to choose between Mephisto and Knightmare, I'm going Knightmare right now. That's what seems the most logical to me. If I had to go mutants, no mutants, I'm going no mutants. Like I would go Reed Richards before mutants personally. Like Reed Richards being the aerospace engineer, I could see that far before I see mutants are here now. I don't know why. It just seems too easy, and you lose too much with bringing the mutants in right now. I don't know. I would almost rather at this point, just so people would shut up about the mutants in the MCU, that they just make them be in their own goddamn universe. Like, you'll never see it, guys. Like, just ever. Like, it's over. Done. Like, I'm getting to that point. I don't know, but that'll never happen. There's too much money to be made.
Yeah.
There's just too much.
I mean, wrong.
Yeah. I put money on the fact that we're going to get mutants in the MCU.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I'll take whatever bet that is.
We already technically are, because Deadpool's already essentially been confirmed to be a part of the MCU. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, guys, you got anything else you want to add? 'Cause that pretty much covers we only got 3 episodes left.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in these 3 episodes and what they come up with, because that's a lot of like stuff to follow up on in 3 episodes.
That's the thing. Like, there's a lot of low hanging fruit still here, and like that's the only other thing. Well, yeah, that's the only other thing that's kind of odd about there being a Mephisto or Knightmare level character, or even mutants kind of thing. Like, there's only 3 episodes. That's a lot of information that you'd have to like squeeze in here. Like, no matter how you look at it. Like, now you got to explain this, because you got to imagine if it's Knightmare or Mephisto, we're going to have a whole episode dedicated to, okay, oh, you have to tell me who this character is. Yeah. And why they're doing it. What were their motivations?
Exactly.
So then you only have like 2 episodes left if there's 1 episode dedicated to explaining who, what, when, where, and why of X villain, So,
yeah.
I don't know. You guys think there is a third party like a Knightmare or Mephisto, though?
Oh, I would say so. Now that you talked about it and put the idea in my head, it's kind of sprouted a seed, and see what that seed grows into. Yeah, I mean, that's like the best way to put it.
See what that seed grows into.
Yeah, there's a sprout.
Some sprouts. All right. No,
I don't think you were going to end up with it just being as simple as Wanda went crazy and is doing these. Is the villain of this story. I think there's going to be some twist. I just she's too established within the MCU with having lost Cap and Iron Man. Those 2 characters in the MCU. I don't think they're ready to write another character out of especially with the idea that Vision may not long for this world either. I don't think that we're going to have. I don't think this is her heel turn for the MCU.
I feel like she's already too far gone.
Yeah,
like
honestly, being manipulated outside force.
It would have to be proven that she literally had nothing to do with it, though, and it's already been disproven that she's not in control. She is in control. She expanded the hex.
Yeah, she did.
But if she's doing it because she's been manipulated, or she has an outside presence influencing her, I think that you can still.
He went out there and held turned the guns onto the sword director, said, "Get off my lawn!" Like, there's a lot of things that were 100% Wanda. Like,
not
even
necessarily.
Being influenced.
How many times have we seen somebody that mind controls somebody, or somebody to do something that they don't want to do, or control their actions? So,
well, that's the thing. It would have to be definitively proven that they were under zero. It was not her at all. Because if she was cognizant of any of it at any point in time, which I feel like has been proven that she is complicit in these actions. In multiple occasions, I think they've shown that like Wanda is choosing to do this stuff from time to time. Like, because I think it maybe started with her, like kind of like Vision said, maybe it was just all internal at one point in time, and then it became like it was all subconscious, and then it somehow became real. Like possibly, maybe that was also being influenced. But
Is it what if somebody set her up to create this environment, and her reactions that you're saying, or her in control or whatever, are what if that's just her protecting her world, her environment, which she believes is her, you know, that she doesn't know she's hurting these. If she honestly doesn't know she's hurting these, and she believes that this is her reality, regardless of if she made it up or if somebody, forced her to make it up, if she believes this is her reality and she doesn't know that she's hurting these, then those actions could just be, somebody protecting their world. It could be, her fighting for good.
I don't know. I just feel like it's too hard to. I don't know.
Just gonna have to wait and see.
At the end of this, does she get thrown in prison? Does she get killed?
Probably gets killed.
That's what I was thinking.
The Avengers sent Hulk out the space, man. There's like he's too dangerous. Like
in the comics, in the MCU, you haven't seen that kind of.
I think that's like the kind of thing that's going to happen. The other thing that is interesting here, and I know that because a lot of people have been saying this, because like, why haven't Sword called another freaking Avenger? This is obviously an Avengers level threat at this point. You know what I mean? But then, like, my argument with that is like, this is the reason shared universes suck, because everybody says that. Like, well, where was Superman when Batman was fighting this person? Like, it's like the story is this. Like, it's not. But I totally get.
He was busy.
Yeah, like I totally get the whole like. Shouldn't they at least like maybe have someone try to reach out to someone? Like we've put a word out to X and so, waiting to hear back from them. Like. Because like at no point you've had any indication.
Sword being so arrogant that just look at the way the one guy's running this investigation. Yeah. I could see him being so arrogant. He's like, I'm not calling another Avenger. They'll just make it worse. They'll try and take over their own town. Like, there's true. The arrogance of humanity in some cases is kind of overwhelming. So I could definitely see that being the case of why an Avenger hasn't been called in. As far as an Avenger finding out, this is going on, but who's to say there aren't 5 other issues globally and 10 other issues interstellar that are going on, are requiring vision for their attention.
None of them tried to contact Wanda, though? This was like...
help out?
Just to see how she was doing after being dusted and coming back, and there being no vision? Like, no one reached out? I find that...
No, she was reached out. She was at Tony's funeral. She stood there with Bucky and Falcon. So, she's had social interactions with other people. At some point, the implication so far is that she was in a severe state of depression, loneliness, and this took place. It doesn't mean that she didn't have any social interactions with other people. She maybe just reached a breaking point. And we also don't know how long this has been going on. Timeline-wise, this could be a matter of days. Not weeks, not months that this town has been taken over. So I think it's well within the bounds of reason that other Avengers have not taken note of it or noticed missing.
That's true. Yeah, do you think we're going to see another Avenger pop up in here?
Maybe.
I think so. These stories are so interconnected. The movies, rarely do you go through an entire movie without some sort of other person popping up. So I think we'll see some.
I think Hawkeye might show up because like he was the closest one to her, like in Ultron and at the funeral. It was Hawkeye. So
I think he's going to kill him.
No, well, in the comics, she kills him. So there's another reason why Hawkeye could show up. Not to die, but because like in that arc, in that this is loosely based off of in the comics, he gets killed by her. So it's plausible that he would show back up, given the history they have in the MCU. So, well, let's wrap it. We've been going on for 55 minutes on this, so we're gonna wrap this up, guys. So, Rick, where can everybody find you online, good sir?
You can find me on Instagram at Sir Rick Metz. It's RIKMETZ.
There you
Follow
are.
me. Like my stuff, please.
Yeah, there, do it. It's all adequate. It's all adequate stuff.
Oh, it's good.
John, where can everybody find you? John in
I'm
studio, John.
Yeah, in studio. I'm over at the Twitters and the Instagrams at Nightwing_K. And I can verify that Rick does put up good stuff.
There you go. And you can follow me just simply here at Sir Rob Bifo. And stay tuned. Like I said, on Wednesday, we'll have a new hot toy review. Probably going to be Commander Cody or Solo Darth Maul, one of the two. Haven't decided which. Maybe both. Probably not, though. But one of them will definitely be up. And don't forget, of course, guys, you can also listen to this on podcast form, on whatever podcast network you like, on Spotify, iTunes. It's all there. Just look up Honest and Uneducated. All go up in audio edition every single week. We do live streams every Friday, so just come by the channel normally around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern time. So pop in there, hang out, talk hot toys, all that sorts of fun stuff. And then again, you can submit topics and questions to the show by emailing us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. That's honestanduneducated@gmail.com. But until next time, guys, that's it for us here today. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think is going to happen in the finale of WandaVision and all that stuff that's upcoming here. We only got 3 episodes left. Would you think Knightmare's involved? Do you think Avengers showing up? Do you think Hawkeye's showing up? You think Reed Richards is showing up? Drop your theories down in the comment section below. But until next time, guys, take care.